and the earrings are rattling off the mic, so we're probably going to have to take those off. Hi BookTube, it's Marianne at Be Last Way Book, and today I have my February TBR. So originally I was going to go for straight up romance throughout the whole of February because Valentine's Day, you know, but then I went, January was really heavy romance because we had the historical romance readathon, so we're going to kind of split it up a wee bit into different genres. It's still quite romantic. And we've got 2 non-fiction books. We have 1 historical / dual timeline fiction. We've got the rest is romance. I tried my best, right? Oh, actually we've got a crime / thriller as well. But anyway, fix the specs. So, the first book that we have for February is Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given. I talked about this in my last book haul. This is a feminist non-fiction book and it explores challenging the narrative that has been sort of set by the patriarchy, viewing women in a certain way, and it's apparently a very empowering read. It was recommended to me by my 19-year-old sister and she absolutely loved it. So we're going to give it a bash this month and hopefully it'll be as good as she says. Or else she's getting battered. The next book that we have for February is The Botanist's Daughter by Kate Nunn. This is a dual timeline historical fiction / contemporary fiction. We have Elizabeth in 1886 who is basically taking up her dying father's job as a botanist and goes on an adventure to find this rare plant, but she is betrayed while she is on this adventure. So then we have Anna in the present day. She is a gardener and she's currently renovating her grand's house when she stumbles upon a diary, which I assume is Elizabeth's diary, and uncovers this mystery that's been sort of there for centuries, and then she follows her adventure into unraveling the mysteries contained within the diary. So I think it's really interesting because it's in her grand's house. I'm assuming that Elizabeth is a distant relative from the past, so I'm really looking forward to reading this because I really enjoy a dual timeline, so I can get behind the vibe that this is giving me. The next book that we have for February is We Just Clicked by Annabelle. The story centres around the character of Izzy, who is currently fake dating her co-worker Luke. Izzy is a wannabe Instagram influencer, and as soon as the 2 of them start fake dating, both of their Instagram profiles blow up and everything's going well. Then enter Aidan, who saved Izzy at some point 2 years previously, and that creates a whole load of trouble. So she is basically trying to build a relationship with Aidan, and Aidan doesn't use any social media, so she thinks that she can get away with doing the fake dating thing with Luke without Aidan finding out, but Aidan eventually finds out. So I don't know how this goes, but you've got the fake dating situation, you have her trying to build a new romance, we have deception. Do Luke and Izzy fall in love? Does she end up with Aidan? Is there forgiveness from Luke after he finds out that she has kind of sort of in a roundabout way betrayed him? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to reading this just to see how that unfolds, because I don't see it ending well, but hopefully we will have a happily ever after once the story wraps up. The next book I have for February is The Simple Wild by Kay Tucker. I have heard nothing but good things about this book. It is another romance. It's a contemporary romance, and the main character Calla moves away from Alaska with her mum when she's 2. Her mum can't handle the kind of isolated lifestyle, and Calla finds out that her dad is dying 20 odd years later down the line, and she decides to go to Alaska to try and rebuild a relationship with her dad before he dies. While she's there, she's kind of trying to get used to being in this isolated place where everything's sort of completely different to the city life that she was used to, and she's trying to adjust to this new life. She thinks she has it in her mind that she is doing this and then she's going to go back home to the city and that's that. But then she meets Jonah, who is a pilot, and the two of them form a sort of friendship type bond. Could it be something more? Who knows? Before their friendship starts, they totally misjudge each other. He assumes that she's this city girl who can never adjust to being in this isolated place and will never survive. And she views Jonah as this arrogant, isolated man who wants nothing to do with this kind of city vibe. But then they form a relationship and they're stuck in a limbo where he doesn't want to leave Alaska and she doesn't want to stay in Alaska. So how are they going to overcome this? Do they overcome this? I don't know. All I know is I've heard really great things about this book and I am desperate to read it. I actually think I might read this first. So the last physical book that I have for February is the Book of Humans, A Brief History of Culture, Sex, War and the Evolution of Us by Adam Rutherford. This explores evolution and the human's journey from being animals to the beings that we are today, upright, walking, talking, human beings. And he looks at how we went from being this sort of animalistic species to this superior species, and it looks at the evolution of language and just humans in general and how we can do all these advanced things that animals cannot. And I started reading this a while ago and I got a quarter of the way through it. I don't know what happened that caused me to stop reading it during the first lockdown, where I kind of went into a bit of a reading slump. So it wasn't that I didn't like it, and I'm looking forward to reading it. I really love science non-fiction, especially when it comes to animals, humans, stuff like that. So now on to the Kindle books. So the first book that I am planning on reading on Kindle is Other Girl by C.D. Major. It centres around the characters of Eliza and Declan, and it is set in 1942. So Eliza is in a mental asylum. She has been there since she was 5 and the story takes place 15 years later. There is a fire that burns down the ward and then this Dr. Declan meets her and she becomes his patient. I assume from the context of the synopsis that she is possibly being accused of setting fire to the ward, but he is actually questioning why she's in there in the first place and does she actually deserve to be in there. So he goes and tries to find out why she's there in the first place and basically save her, but in the process he's sort of risking losing his own mind, kind of sacrificing his career. So after that, I'm planning on continuing the Rules of the Rogue series. I talked about that in my Kindle Unlimited Historic Romance haul. So I'm going to try and figure out how to put the wee thing up here that has the link that you can just click on for my Kindle Unlimited Romance video. If I can't figure it out, I'll leave the link in the description box. You can go and look and see the individual books in the series. I have currently finished An Earl in Wolf's Clothing and we'll be moving on to the second and third books in the series. And now we move on to the audiobooks. So I'm currently listening to the Wicked Quills of London series by Eva Lee. The series is based around a kind of badass set of female writers and their relationships and careers. So I'm currently listening to Forever Your Earl, which focuses around the character of Eleanor, who is the writer and editor of a scandal sheet. She frequently writes about Daniel, who is the Earl, and he ends up going to her and says, look, we'll set up a little arrangement. You can follow me about, live in my daily life, going about my business and write about it. I consent fully to what you were doing. She's like, why? But she goes along with it anyway because she wants to further her career, make the scandal sheet even more popular, etc, etc. but at the same time, he has secrets that he doesn't want her to discover. He has, now is it his friend or his brother? Jonathan. I think it's his friend, and he has went missing. He's trying to find him and find out what happened to him, but he doesn't want anybody to know, because if they find out, then they could kill Jonathan, if Jonathan's even still alive at this point. So we have all of that kind of mystery along with the romance. The second book in the series is A Scandal Takes the Stage, and it's about Maggie, who is a playwright, and she has Cameron, who is a Viscount, sort of pursuing her. He's very persistent, and again, from the context of the synopsis, it seems like they have had something in the past romantically, and she's just like, listen, I'm over it, not interested in marriage and love and all of that sort of thing that go with it. But like I said, he's very persistent, so he offers her his country estate to use as a writer's retreat. He probably has ulterior motives to try and seduce her along the way, but we'll have to see if she is going to remain kind of aloof to his attentions, or if she's going to allow herself to be seduced. Third and last book I want to get through on audio is Temptation of a Wallflower, and I'm really looking forward to this one because it's about Lady Sarah, who secretly writes erotic fiction, which is obviously a massive scandal back in the 1800s. And you have Jeremy, who is a vicar, and he is trying to find out who is writing these scandalous books. Lady Sarah is figuring the best way to protect herself from being found out and ruined is to marry a member of the clergy, and that person turns out to be Jeremy the vicar. So these two are married, and then Jeremy is basically trying to hunt down this mystery woman who is writing these scandalous, spicy novels, and turns out it's his own wife. Can they see past the scandal? Will they just be like, well, it is what it is, still love her, so we're just going to go with it? Is he going to leave his religious career? Like, how is this going to go? It's sort of an ambitious TBR, but we're going to see if we can make it work. See how it goes. It should be fine, but fingers crossed it's as good a reading month as January has been, because I have read some great books this month. So I will check in on my reading vlogs as I'm going through the books, but it seems like a pretty solid TBR. We've got some variety in there, although like I said, it is still pretty romance heavy. That's it. I am done. The TBR is complete. So happy reading, stay safe, and I'll speak to you guys later. Bye!